What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Adventure Outpost. Another weekend has come and gone, and it is once again time to talk those juicy box office numbers. It was set to be a wild weekend here at the box office. We had James Cameron with two classics gunning, just seeing how much money they could make, followed by the last in the trilogy of Magic Mike, seeing just what these performers were going to be able to pull off here this weekend. And while I was expecting fireworks, it ended up being nothing as crazy as we would have expected. It was not a good weekend at the box office. We took a huge dip. No movie in the top 10 managed to make more than $10 million. That's insane. Every movie was under $10 million. That is crazy, especially for two movies that were getting a wide release and a movie that's just been consistently making money hand over fist. It was insane just how terrible the box office was this past weekend. I mean, not outright terrible. It's definitely been worse, but it was not a great weekend here at the box office. And we're going to dive into all of that here right now and see who was able to hold on to the top spot and where everyone else fell on the list. So as always, let's go to those charts, those good old juicy charts. So if we look, we managed to make $47 million between the 10 movies. That is an abysmal weekend, definitely the worst weekend we've had thus far this year. And if we take a look here, in first place is Magic Mike's Last Dance, new wide release, took in only $8 million off of a $45 million budget. That is fucking insane. It's very terrible for a new movie to do in theaters. It's a debut movie in number one, definitely not great. Extra not great considering that this is supposed to be like the final portion of a trilogy. It just, oh my god, just to watch those returns just dip and dip. It's definitely not a win that you should be proud of here, making only $8 million in your debut spot for your debut weekend. That is just absolutely wild. In number two, Avatar: The Way of Water manages to move up one spot to reclaim second place. In its ninth week, it drops 39.3%. It takes in $6.8, almost $7 million to bring its total domestic haul to $646 million off of a $460 million budget. Movie just continues to make stupid amounts of money, and it managed to hold that deficit and stay ahead of Titanic, which came in here in third place as a new wide release. In its re-release, it took in $6.4 million off of a $200 million budget. Man, so you want to talk about making your money back. I kid. We know. It's a re-release. I get it. It's a dad humor. Relax. But it's so crazy to look at that and see that James Cameron has in the top three. He's 2 and 3 right now with just his movies. He's just fucking the king of the box office right now. This guy is just absolute menace in the amount of money that he can just pull out of our wallets. Fucking legend. We finish off here in fourth place. We've got 80 for Brady in its second week, dropping 52.8%. Woo boy, that's a big one. It takes in just about $6 million to bring its total domestic haul to $24 million off of a $28 million budget. So this movie is going to end up in about another week or so. It's going to be making, it'll be in the green. It'll have made enough money to justify its existence. And it's a neat little movie. I saw it this past weekend. It's silly as shit, but it's about exactly what you would expect from this movie and exactly what you would want from this movie. So it's solid. It's solid all around right there. And finishing out here in the top 5 is Knock at the Cabin, dropping from first place to fifth place in its second week, dropping 61.1%. My God, that's another big one. It takes in $5.5 million to bring its total domestic haul to $23 million off of a $20 million budget. So much like 80 for Brady, this is going to end up being a little bit of a mid-sized hit there. It'll make just enough to have justified its existence. Definitely not going to be on one of the bigger sides for M. Night Shyamalan, but it'll have at least made its budget back. Here on the back 5 and 6th place, we've got Puss in Boots: The Last Wish in its 8th week, dropping 30.2%. It takes in $5.5 million to bring its total domestic haul to $158 off of a $90 million budget. Movie just continues to have stellar legs. In 7th, we've got A Man Called Otto in its 7th week, dropping 38.2%, taking in $2.6 million to bring its total domestic haul to $57 million off of a $50 million budget. So much like 80 for Brady and Knock at the Cabin, this movie will have ended up making itself a little piece of change. In 8th place, we've got Missing in its 4th week, dropping 29.9%, bringing in its total domestic haul to $2.6 million off of a $26 million off of a 20. No, it brings its total domestic haul to 26 million off of a $7 million budget. A nice win here for that missing and searching universe. In ninth place, Megan in its sixth week drops 38.3%. It takes in $2.3 million to bring its total domestic haul to $90 million off of a $12 million budget. This movie seems to going to be ending its lifespan right around where I said, somewhere in that 90 to 95 million region. That is a huge win for Universal. The first big win of the year so far, and seems to be so far in 2023 the only impressive win to really talk about. And finishing off in 10th place, making its return to the top 10 after having bowed out last week, Plane returns to the top 10 in the 10th spot in its fifth week, dropping 46.2%, taking in $1.1 million to bring its total domestic haul to $30 million off of a $25 million budget. Now, as always, we like to take a look at our worldwide and domestic for the year of 2023. We are still charting along a little bit of 2022 as we continue to watch Avatar and see how much money it is making. So, as always, we will start with the highest grossing worldwide of 2022. We take a look here at that good old chart. Avatar: The Way of Water still holding strong in first place. It is at $2.213 billion. We're going to take a look at this number again in just a hot minute. But for now, Avatar is still the king of the mountain, with all the other movies having absolutely no change. We will finally be finishing our tally of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, as it seems to have finally bowed itself out of theaters. And then taking a look at our top 10 worldwide for 2023, we have Full River Red still in first place with $614 million. The Wandering Earth 2 with $522 in second place. Boonie Bears in third at $192. Megan right behind it with $165. Hidden Blade in fifth with $123. Pathan in sixth with $120. Deep Sea in seventh with $106 mil. Chipurashka, I'm probably butchering that again, I'm sorry, in eighth place with $89 mil. 500 Miles in ninth with $53, and Plane finally joining Megan as the other U.S. release in the 10th spot with $43 million. And now we take a look as well at our top 10 domestic. We'll first take a look here at 2022. We have absolutely no change in any of the positions. We'll once again say goodbye to Black Panther as we bow out of charting along with its tally, as it seems to have left theaters everywhere, and that's going to be the money that it's going to look like it's going to settle at. But Avatar: The Way of Water still in second place, trying to just fucking close that gap to Top Gun Maverick. It sits right now in second place with $646 million domestic. And then we take a look here at our top 10 domestic. We're just shy of being in a full top 10 right now. We've got Megan in first with $90 million, Plane in second with 30, Missing in third with 26, 80 for Brady in fourth at 24, Knock at the Cabin in fifth with 23, House Party in sixth with 8, Magic Mike debuts in the seventh spot with 8.2, and Infinity Pool brings up the rear with $4 million. Now, as always, we like to say goodbye to our fallen heroes. These are our heroes who did their time in the top 10 but have bowed out for greener passages. We have 3 movies joining the Gone But For Not Forgotten club. We take a look here at their list. We've got The Chosen after 1 week, bows out. Pathan after 2, and BTS with the horribly titled Yet to Come in cinemas after only 1 week. You guys did your time, you had your say, you made your money, but now it's time to bow out for greener passages. We'll see you on home video release, and as always, we salute you. Now, with the re-release of Titanic, we had an exciting weekend to follow along with here on the highest grossing worldwide movies of all time. Avatar: The Way of Water was quickly trying to come over and take over Titanic in the number 3 spot. But with Titanic's re-release, it was going to be a very exciting weekend to watch to see if they were going to jockey positions or who was going to end out in 4th and 3rd place when all was said and done. And the weekend numbers have been tallied, and as it looks like right now, if Titanic had not come out this week and did not get a re-release, Avatar right now would be the 3rd highest grossing movie of all time. It would have passed Titanic. But thanks to Titanic's re-release, it now manages to maintain the tiniest slither of gaps ahead of Avatar: The Way of Water. It's going to be exciting again to see what they do next week and for as long as Titanic remains in theaters. It looks like, though, when all is said and done, I think Avatar will still in the long run end up passing Titanic. But it is just a fun roller coaster ride to watch right now and see where these two end up jockeying position between these next few weeks. We take a look here at the chart and look, and if you see, Avatar: The Way of Water is holding just outside of Titanic in the fourth spot with $2.213 billion, and Titanic right ahead of it. I can't speak for the goddamn today. Titanic right ahead of it with 2.216. So they are just neck and neck with each other, and it is going to be so much fun to continue to watch this and to see just how they end up jockeying for position over the next few weeks. I do think Avatar will end up third place overall when all is said and done, but goddamn is this fun to follow along with. And then we take a look at our highest grossing domestic movies of all time. We're going to follow along with Avatar's progress in there. Last week it managed to join that club, being the 10th highest grossing domestic movie of all time. This week there still is no change. It's still remaining in the 10th spot, but it is at least building up some cred. It is making a play for number 9, Jurassic World. If you look right here at this chart, you'll see Jurassic World in 9th with 653, and Avatar: The Way of Water is just behind it right now at 646. So it's fair to say that within the next few weeks, I think Avatar: The Way of Water is going to eventually pass Jurassic World. I don't know if it'll have it in it to pass whatever else is ahead of that. It might be a little bit of a struggle, but I think we're at least going to look at it joining the 9th position in the highest grossing domestic movies. And that'll do it for us all here at the charts. It was a interesting weekend, to say the least. It is just so crazy to see how far we just dropped this past week. I thought once Knock at the Cabin and 80 for Brady came out, we were just going to be on an uptick for the next few weeks, that we were just going to continue to steadily make more and more money. I was expecting Magic Mike to be busy. I was expecting Titanic to be busy, but it ended up being a very quiet weekend at the theater. Especially at my theater, it was a wasteland. It was as quiet as a mouse. I could not believe it, and it was crazy to see. So once again, just proving that old adage that the box office does not give a fuck about what's being released or how much you think a movie is going to end up being well or doing well. The box office is going to do what the box office is going to do. Crazy times to watch. Thankfully, we have Ant-Man and the Wasp coming out this next week to kick off the holiday President's Weekend here, at least in New York. Kids are off from school, and it is going to be a much needed shot in the arm to the box office revenue. So even though I am not the biggest fan of superhero movies, they are good for business, so I will continue to allow them to exist. Not that I have much of a say, obviously, in the matter, but it is a good thing that they are still such a moneymaker, because they are the shot in the arm that we need right now, at least until Cocaine Bear comes out. That movie is really going to bring in the revenue dollars, but we have Ant-Man to hold us over until Cocaine Bear comes out. So it's going to be an interesting rest of February, but that'll do it for all of us here at the charts this week. Until the next adventure, you have been you, I have been me. These are the movies that we love so goddamn much, and until next time, I'll see you at the movies.